You're in kindergarten or early elementary school. It's the late 1990s or early 2000s. You finally overcame that whole bedwetting issue, you're past that hard level in Pokemon Blue, and they built a Blockbuster within walking distance of your house. Life can't get much better, right? Wrong! Your smoke show new student teacher, Miss Pinta, who kind of has a Salma Hayek thing going on, has gathered the whole class together and is going to teach everyone the secret to popularity. Stop wondering if she is a thing for you and start paying attention, because she's teaching you how to do the Macarena. But enough about universal experiences. Loved by many and hated by many others, the Macarena is one of the greatest curiosities of the 1990s. It's 50% foreign language curio, 50% 90s club banger, and 100% dance craze sensation. The song bled well into the 2000s and has become an indistinct memory of the past for millions. Curious how one of the biggest hits of all time came to be? Well, I did the research and even interviewed some of the people that made it happen. That's right, boys and girls, we are finally going to unpack the Macarena. In 1962, Antonio Romero Monge and Rafael Ruiz Perdigones, two 14-year-olds from Dos Hermanas, a suburb of Seville, Spain, formed a Latin pop duo called Los Del Rio. For the next 30 years, they enjoyed success in Spain and parts of Latin America and released dozens of albums, but never made much of an impact outside of the Spanish-speaking world. 30 years into their career, Los Del Rio was touring Venezuela when Diana Patricia, a local backing flamenco dancer, inspired Romero to freestyle a hook off the top of his head. He sang to his partner, Diana, dale a tu cuerpo alegría cosa buena, que tu cuerpo es para alegría cosa buena, which translates to, give your body some joy, Diana, for your body is there to give joy and good things. The pair later finished the song in their hotel room in just 5 minutes, changing the name from Diana to Macarena, a popular girl's name in Andalusia, their native region of Spain. Interestingly, it's been claimed that they chose this name after one of Romero's daughters, which is pretty weird because the song tells the story of a sexy young woman who cheats on her boyfriend when he's out of town. But anyway, the duo recorded the track and released it on their album A Mí Me Gusta. A top 10 hit in Spain, the song made waves in parts of Europe and Latin America in 1993, but it took 2 years for the song to make a beachhead in the continental United States.
Down here in South Florida, when you would go to a bar, their song was already playing.
I grew up going to these different Latin clubs and they would play it a lot in those clubs. We would be doing the dances and everything.
It was like, why are they line dancing? Like, what's going on here? The people were already dancing their rumba version of the song, which is a lot less modern sounding, more traditional sounding.
If something sounded a little off about that clip to you, it's probably because you're more familiar with the Bayside Boys remix of the Macarena. Founded by Mike Triay and Carlos Diarza, the Bayside Boys were instrumental in the Macarena's success outside the Spanish-speaking world. But I'll let Carlos tell you their story himself.
I was already recording and signed to a label while I was in high school. I had a little group that put out a couple 12 inches, not very good. We're trying to do Depeche Mode meets Duran Duran plus whatever madness. We didn't know. Honestly, we did not know what we were doing. Towards the end of high school, another friend of mine, and maybe I'm talking about 88, 89, had a band that was signed to Mike Triay's record label. At that point, it was called Bayside Records. So he goes, will you join the band? So I went and met Mike, and Mike was a bit older than we were at the time. So Mike grew up in the radio side of things, and he was a voiceover guy, a disc jockey on air, great, round, beautiful voice, and so he had some radio contacts. He decided to make a record label. So I met Mike by joining a band that was signed to his label at the time, Bayside Records. In '89, I started working with Mike. With his father, we built a little studio. And it was making money because we were charging ridiculous amounts of money by the hour just by having running the studio as a commercial studio as well as somewhere we used as a laboratory. So one of those advertising agencies once asked me, I know you write music, can you write a jingle? And I said, yeah, I can kill jingles. I just wrote for Pizza Hut, McDonald's, Unilever, which is a huge soap company.
I used to do jingles for Carlos and Mike. They were the Bayside Boys. And I think I was 15 or 16 when I started singing jingles for them. So I would do all kinds of commercials and things like that. I was going to school. Right before the whole Macarena thing really took off, I was actually in college in Miami-Dade.
And it was fun because the jingles are little puzzles. You have to say so much and you only have 30 seconds. And so they're like musical puzzles to me. Now, Power 96 was the local station that used to play dance music and pop and dance music. The cool thing about Power 96 is that Power 96 used to break new artists. So, for example, already in 1991, I think 1990 or 1991, we had a couple of songs that came from either a group I was in or a project that I was associated with that I already played on Power 96. Because they become small regional hits, things like that. But these guys could actually break a hit, which is amazing to us. Jammin' Johnny was Mike's associate in Bayside Records. And Johnny used to hang out at Power 96. Eventually he worked at Power 96. But when the Macarena thing happened, he would just hang out at Power 96 trying to get gigs or trying to get remote gigs, stuff like that. We had a relationship with them where we would just remix records and cut up records. So, Miami's a large market. There might have been 3 or 4 different pop stations, right? So they didn't want to sound like the next pop station. So we would take, let's say, an Ace of Base record back then, cut it up. I would call a friend of mine, say a reggae guy, and say, hey, just go off on this track, recut it, repackage. So we did a version of All That She Wants, threw it back to Power 96, and all of a sudden they were playing a record that everybody else was playing, but theirs was hot because didn't sound like the record, didn't sound like what anybody else was playing. So we did that for them for Michael Jackson, Ace of Base, Janet Jackson. I mean, anything that came out that could be messed with in some way, we were doing it. So Macarena was just the next one on the list. And Johnny came over to the studio one day and said, hey, the program director at Power is interested in playing this song. Can you guys do what you do to it? Maybe throw a rap on it or something. And he left. And that was the total of his involvement thing. It was just like, we need something in English to play this track. So they brought me the track and I'm listening to the track and I'm thinking it might be fun if, as a songwriter, if I inhabit this girl and give her a voice, So I sat down for 20 minutes and I became that girl. And so I wrote it out. I did a guide track, hit record, ran into the booth. I sang that girl part.
D'Arza called Patty Alfaro, a singer he'd met through Latin boy band Menudo, to sing the new lyrics as Macarena.
I said, it's for the radio station. It's just, she knew the drill. It's just a favor for them. So she came in and an hour later it was done and mixed and we sent it to Power 96 on a DAT, digital audio tape.
The new bilingual remix was a hit on Power 96, quickly becoming the most requested song in the station's history during the summer of 1995.
95 Summer gets on Power. Power decides to send it to, unbeknownst to me and to Mike, because we just kept, head down, work. They shared it with all of the Power stations, shared this DAT, they FedEx the actual physical tape, pre-internet, and they all started playing it. So about a week in, I get this phone call. Hello, is this Carlos D'Arza? Yes. This is from lawyer from RCA Records. Who's your lawyer? Okay. I give you his number. Thank you. Have a good day. Boom. Hang up the phone. I don't know what's going on now. I'm freaking out. It's only been a week and this was supposed to be ridiculous, right? So the lawyer calls me and RCA wants to kill the song, and it became like this whole background drama. Eventually they worked that out, and RCA said the old men don't want to support this. They don't want to come tour. They're happy just making the money. Do you guys want to go out and do it? And we said, yeah, of course.
The Bayside Boys ultimately signed with Lava, a division of Atlantic, and their remix single saw an official commercial release in August 1995. While the original Macarena has an interesting clave rhythm, the remix stripped that away and gave the track an infectious, bouncy electronic dance backing. One thing both versions have in common, however, is smutty lyrics. While the English version is not a direct translation of the Spanish original, it retains the basic storyline that Macarena's boyfriend is out of town and that she just can't help herself.
Come on, what was I supposed to do? He was out of town, and his two friends were so fine.
It doesn't paint her in a very good light.
That was just very innocent. So to play that character, which was like this more sexual, promiscuous girl, you know, it was totally different. But that's where acting comes in. And I mean, I loved every minute of it. It was so much fun, you know, getting on the stage and becoming this character.
This was definitely one of the most surprising things I found out about while researching this song. I know I've heard this song about 1,000,000 times, but how did I never put together that this song was about a girl getting banged out by a couple of guys behind her boyfriend's back? What was Miss Pinta thinking? Was she trying to send me a message? D'Arza added some interesting samples to add texture to the mix.
The Graduate part, it wasn't even a direct sample of The Graduate. It was a sample of a George Michael record that he had used it.
Benjamin, I am not trying to seduce you.
I know that, but please, Mrs. Robinson, this is difficult.
Would you like me to seduce you? Would you like me to seduce you? I am not trying to seduce you.
So I was like, okay, I'm gonna throw that in there, you know, because it kind of is a wink to what the character's doing. There's a Yaz sample in there as well, that laugh. I loved Yaz. I grew up with it, and they were way ahead of their time.
The remix also samples the exotic, wordless singing from the Farms' Higher and Higher.
And there's just things thrown about that I found in the library. Again, trying to make something that Power 96 could play that nobody else could do, but with no, there was no roadmap. You know what I mean? It was like, okay, I got a couple hours. Let's just cook this. What do I got? I got salt. I got a little bit of pepper. I mean, throw this olive oil on that. That sounds good. Okay, go, done. With the consent of RCA, we started touring in '95. So the entire year until the end of '95, until the Pocket stopped playing it in December, we were on the road. And I'm talking about 2 shows a night. Go, 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 go.
Early reviews of the song were good, calling it infectiously danceable, but the single saw only moderate success and peaked at number 45 on the Hot 100 in November 1995. After a 20-week chart run, the song fell off the Hot 100 in January 1996.
We were all happy. Well, it was fun. The tour was fun. We made some money, made a lot of contacts. Let's get back in the studio and work on the next project.
This could have been the end of the Macarena stateside, but WKTU in New York brought the song into regular rotation and broke the record wide open.
KTU opened up in January of '96, the first dance pop station in New York, and I don't know how many years. So they had instant listenership and audience, and they burned Macarena twice an hour.
KTU. Hello?
Yes, when are you gonna play the Macarena?
You never know, do ya?
Come on, we're waiting.
In May of 1996, the song finally re-entered the Hot 100 and began a steady climb, putting the Bayside Boys back on the road with singer Carla Vanessa replacing studio vocalist Patty Alfaro.
It was really cool. It was a no-brainer. I was like, of course, I get to perform and I get to sing and I get to travel. Yay, my favorite things. So of course, I said yes right away.
In addition to the song's catchy yet indecipherable lyrics, the hit was doubtlessly fueled by the attached dance. Unbelievably simple, the song requires the dancer to bend his arms in varying positions, then jump 90 degrees to the right. It's just that simple. Some claim that the dance was inspired by the movements of a man being stopped by the police, searched, handcuffed, and arrested, though this is likely just an urban legend. The progenitor of the dance, however, remains unknown.
And I really want to know, like, it's one of those things, like, I've always wanted to know who created either one. It was one of those things that just nobody knows. And for all we know, it could have been somebody in a club, like, one day, and it just kind of stuck. And
the San Diego Reader claimed the dance began in Spain, but its exact creator is unknown. Likewise, the dance appears to have undergone an evolution as it climbed the charts in the US. One music video shows dancers moving their hands on every other beat, putting hands on one another's shoulders, which doesn't match what most Americans know as the Macarena. The other, more well-known video drops the hands on shoulders, but still sees hands moving on every other beat. A 1996 instructional video describes this as the basic Macarena. The Christmas video, yes, there is a Christmas video and we'll get to that, finally sees the dancers moving their hands on every beat, with the instructional video dubbing this the advanced Macarena. I'm not trying to stunt on you guys, but I was actually doing the advanced Macarena in first grade. Thanks, Miss Pinto.
so I had only seen the simple version when I was in the clubs. That's the only one I had seen. And I actually don't remember when I learned the hard version, but I know it had to do with being in the group because it was part of what we were doing on stage. And then when we were on the Oprah show, we were teaching both. Because people were getting confused because there was two versions.
They're here to show us the right way to do it because somebody had a point over there. Your point was that everybody does it.
Everybody does it different. I mean, you can't find people anywhere that do it the same way.
I know.
So it was really funny because like they would be like, oh, well, everyone does it different, but we're like, well, there's just two separate versions. But I mean, ultimately, they're very similar. You just add one extra to each one.
Fueled by a highly infectious dance craze and the Bayside Boys' relentless promotion, the Macarena began to rapidly scale the Hot 100.
We were working so hard and hitting so many cities and having so many concerts and clubs and arenas and anywhere they would hire us, we would play. And honestly, we were watching the charts, again, pre-internet. So, and since we're on the road all the time, we would get phone calls from our lawyer, and he used to get reports from Billboard a week before Billboard published. On the way to a sound check or to a show, ring, ring, ring. This is our lawyer. Oh, hi, how are you guys? Oh, we're doing great. We're in city X. He goes, hey guys, next week, you guys are going to be number 27. Okay, giggle, giggle, giggle. Hey guys, next week you're gonna be number 17. Really? Okay. Giggle, giggle, giggle. Keep touring, keep working. We were in a car in Manhattan, and we were going to lunch somewhere. And the phone rings, and it's our lawyer, and he goes, "Hey guys, next week the song is gonna be number 1." And I'm like, "No!" I mean, it was laughter and a degree of incredulity. We were like, there's no way that this is happening. I mean, there's no way that this is happening. But it was happening.
After a cumulative 33-week climb, the Macarena finally hit the top of the Hot 100, spending an impressive 14 weeks at the summit of the chart. The Bayside Boys remix spread worldwide, overtaking the success of the original in South America and most of Europe. Though, curiously, it was not an immediate success in Los Del Rio's native Spain, where the youth viewed Los Del Rio as making music solely for the middle-aged. The dance was a major fad with people of all ages, spawning multiple attempts at setting the record for the world's largest Macarena, such as this one at Yankee Stadium. You couldn't go to a sporting event, wedding, bar mitzvah, prom, cookout, quinceañera, or grand jury proceeding without hearing it.
I mean, this dance is a real thing, huh?
The Macarena served as an unofficial campaign song for Puerto Rican Governor Pedro Rosselló, who was seeking re-election in 1996. The 1996 US Olympic gymnastics team danced to it, and the song was even played at the 1996 Democratic National Convention, which looked lit as hell. Learn the moves, Hillary.
I remember Al Gore saying, "Okay, here's my version," and he just stood there.
The Al Gore version of the Macarena. Would you like to see it again?
From celebrities to has-beens, the very young to the very old, Colin Powell to Madeleine Albright, it seemed like just about everyone was doing the Macarena. Riding the craze, the record label promoted the song by sending hired dancers to sporting events, clubs, and record shops. But there is danger in remaining in the spotlight too long. 8 weeks into the song's run at #1, even Billboard called the song overexposed, noting that the song had slipped to number 16 in radio airplay, but still held the top spot due to extremely strong singles sales. In the wake of the remix's success, the original Spanish language version reached number 23 on the Hot 100, while the remix still held the top spot. Another Spanish group called Los Del Mar even hit the charts with the Macarena, taking their sound-alike cover to number 71, thereby putting 3 versions of the song on the Hot 100 at the same time. Curiously, the Del Rio and Del Mar versions simultaneously held the number 1 and number 2 spots, respectively, on the Australian charts. With just about everyone in the nation trying to cash in on the craze, the year saw multiple radio stations hold Macarena Till You Drop competitions and even a Macarena workout tape hitting the home video market.
I didn't even find out about that until maybe like 6 years ago.
Radio station WOWW in Pensacola even had a no rock, all mock promotion, which saw them playing the song nonstop for 24 hours straight.
But on the positive side was that all of this was pre-real hardcore internet, right?
It's Macarena Teddy, let's dance.
Yeah, no, it was more like I was flying by the seat of my pants and I didn't really notice because our touring was so harsh. I was so sleep deprived, I couldn't think straight.
We would find out about all the madness with the crowds, obviously, and with the charts, but all the peripheral things, we necessarily did not find out about until later or until many years later.
There's this whole year, mainly all of 1996, where I don't even have a memory of most things.
Deciding that there was still more cash to milk out of this record, a Christmas remix was released for Q4 of 1996 and combined the original song's hook, an altered version of the Bayside Boys club backing, and the lyrics of several Christmas classics. Billboard justifiably called this version joyless, though I have to say this is definitely my favorite version of the track. I can't think of anything more ill-conceived, characterless, or straight up greedy than this, and by God I love it for all those reasons. It also has a random baby giggling on the track for some reason, which is the cherry on top of the cacophony.
Did you have anything to do with the Macarena Christmas?
No, we were on Atlantic touring with an RCA record, and then RCA got greedy. And then RCA started making all kinds of ridiculousness.
If the craze hadn't gone critical mass by then, it certainly had by the time the Chipmunks released their cover, which Billboard called a painful retread. They echoed their sentiment on a country music cover by a group called the Groovegrass Boys, which they described as the last straw. There was one offshoot, however, that Carlos loves.
In 96, we were in Germany and Austria, right? That 96 was kind of the birth of the 3-tent ecstasy system, where you have a chill tent, a crazy tent, and a go home tent kind of thing, right? So in 1996, that middle tent was playing techno at around 150 BPM. And there's this really fast techno song called Fuck the Macarena.
Fuck the Macarena. I'm sorry, motherfuckers, dance the Macarena. Could it be that every...
I love that song. I remember being waiting to go on stage, and I'm like, oh my God, I love this. That's the one that worked the best because it just deconstructed it and did something completely different with it.
Somewhere between a parody and a diss track, MC Rage's Fuck Macarena was a top 10 hit in the Netherlands, and the spirit behind the track was not isolated. By the year's end, one writer went so far as to call the Macarena parasitic. Yikes. By the time the Macarena finally fell off the Hot 100, it had had the longest run on the chart in history at 60 weeks, but multiple sleeper hits that came later have since surpassed this record. The song was eventually certified 4 times platinum by the Recording Industry Association of America and still sits at number 7 on Billboard's Greatest of All Time Hot 100 chart based on its commercial performance. 15 years later, the song is still tied for 3rd in songs with the longest run at the peak of the Hot 100. At least in the United States, the people behind the song remained one-hit wonders. Follow-ups by both Los Del Rio and the Bayside Boys did not reach the Hot 100.
When we were signed to Atlantic, we kept sending them demos for different tracks, dance music, fun. We were very influenced at the time by everything that we heard in Europe. So a lot of it was kind of pop dance stuff, 4 on the floor, high BPM stuff. But they were just not having it. They just wanted more of the same, which is trying to repeat the same thing over and over it never kind of works.
Atlantic Records, however, insisted that the Bayside Boys supply a sound-alike record with an attached dance.
So Caliente was a direct, okay, you want it? Okay, you got it. Here it is. This is what you want. You're paying me. Here you go.
It was one of these things that was thrown together really, really fast because the record label wanted it. And
in October 1996, Caliente did reach number 15 on the Billboard Bubbling Under chart, which acts as a 25-song extension of the Hot 100, effectively making it a number 115 hit.
A lot of radio stations played that, and then some kind of like old lady exercise thing picked it up, and that still plays in these exercise classes, which is, just blows my mind. It just blows my mind sometimes.
Strangely enough, Los Del Rio and the Bayside Boys, the 2 groups behind one of the biggest hits of all time, never even met.
We never did meet them. We had no communication with them other than maybe through the record label, but absolutely no contact of any kind. I mean, I get it. They did what they did. It was all a surprise, and good for them, right? But besides our remix and rewrite, there were several other bands that covered it with some success, but nowhere near. So I heard their quote was that Macarena had a lot of children. So they referred to everything that it birthed to the children of Macarena, but they never spoke about anyone in particular or anything, nothing. They never referred to it, like it didn't exist.
And while Los Del Rio may view the Bayside Boys remix as an unimportant appendage, the charts disagree with them. The original Spanish version was a hit in a few countries, but the Bayside Boys mix is what brought the Macarena front and center into the international spotlight, peaking in the top 10 of over 28 international music charts. You'd be hard-pressed to find someone outside of Spain who considers the original version to be the definitive one.
I feel like, Mike and Carlos should have probably gotten a lot more for what they did, If I were them, I would have reached out to Carlos and been like, hey dudes, thanks,
There was a Latin pop explosion in the late 1990s that saw the likes of Ricky Martin, Enrique Iglesias, and Shakira hitting the top 40, but these songs were almost entirely in English. I asked Carlos and Carla if they thought the Macarena's success had any bearing on the popularity of Latin artists for mainstream American audiences.
It's a hard question to answer because I feel like those people like Ricky Martin and J-Lo, and they're all gonna go there anyway. They're gonna get there regardless of the Macarena or not. I'd like to think that we had something to do with it. And it's just such a hard question to really answer, and at least I feel like we helped get music from a different language in the radio station.
Shakira did music in English, and Ricky did music in English, and it wasn't a big stretch. It was just their ethnicity, not necessarily their music. Because if you break it down, they're just pop songs. Think about it. There's nothing particularly Latin about any of that stuff. They're just pop songs.
25 years later, however, we now see a trend of American artists adding English verses to Spanish-language hits, especially reggaeton songs, to break them stateside. Although the Macarena didn't directly start the trend, the formula is still proving successful.
I was in Austin. I think it was Austin. Yeah, I was in Austin. I think it was last year. And Taki Taki came on. And the whole car was like just rocking, you know, from this ridiculous song, you know? Taki Taki, Taki Taki Rumba. But it has a nice groove, so people get into it. You know? So I don't think Macarena linearly influenced any of that. I just think if you erase it from the histories, this would have happened anyway. It's just where we are. It's where we are from a population perspective. It's where we are from an influence perspective. It's just where we're going to land regardless.
But of course, with audiences already sick of the Macarena before it left the upper echelons of the charts, it's no surprise that the song isn't remembered fondly by some. A 2011 readers' poll in Rolling Stone named it the second worst song of the 1990s, just after Aqua's Barbie Girl, though the publication's Jody Rosen gave it a slightly warmer recognition, calling it infectiously dumb. She notes that the song gives you the pleasure of reveling in the ridiculous. Despite that, the song has made best of lists by some publications too, suggesting that we as a society haven't yet come to a consensus about the Macarena's place in history. I asked Carlos Duyarza and Carla Vanessa if they felt the song's omnipresence and mixed reputation had negatively impacted their entertainment careers after the Macarena.
Again, pre-internet, for the better and for the worse, but we got all the positive, all the blame goes to the two old men, and I could just watch, I'm in the audience, you know? Had it been 10 years later, that would have changed, that dynamic would have changed a lot. No bad feelings. No bad feelings at all.
I never felt necessarily a negative impact. I just knew that I didn't want that to be my, I didn't want to be the face of the Macarena indefinitely. I didn't want that to be what I was known for, let's say. But nowadays, I don't even think anybody really even knows that it's me. So it's fine, it's all good, either way.
Carla and I were recording in Spanish, and that was, when we recorded, that was 90, maybe 98. On the strength of what we were doing, we were both signed to Emilio Estefan's label, which is called Crescent Moon. Emilio made something called the New Miami Sound Machine, and Carla ended up in that, which is a 3-girl group. And I ended up writing and producing within his camp, within Emilio's camp, which was fun because I got to write for a bunch of people, so it was great.
It's really cool to think back at, you know, all those memories and all those things, and I feel, again, so grateful to have had that experience, you know, all those experiences.
I meet a lot of people who leave the business and they're very bitter, and I don't have any negativity towards it. I just wanted to do something else. You know, so I just, by 2007, 2008, I was done. I was done with it.
Always a creative, Carlos is now Vice President of Marketing and Communications and a professor at St. Thomas University in Miami Gardens, Florida. Always a performer, Carla continues to sing, act, and model. You can find both their YouTube channels in the description below. And considering it's the biggest hit of their careers, it's no surprise that Los Del Rio continues to perform the Macarena to this day. And finally, after years of the world anxiously awaiting an unoriginal rap cover, Tyga blessed us with just that in the fall of 2019.
You know, there's some songs that lend themselves to remixes and whatever. That's not one of them. Just let it die. You know, it's okay.
A huge hit in Central European territories, the song is nothing special, but it has a pretty great video and includes Los Del Rio to boot. But why can't he pronounce Macarena? Because many people's recollections of the song are negative, the Macarena's achievement as one of the best performing singles of all time rubs some people the wrong way. I'll counter that by saying that the greatest of all time, according to this same list, is Chubby Checker's The Twist, a song of equal musical merit that also rode the back of the dance fad. And that's okay, because the song made people happy. During the Macarena's ride at the top of the charts, Los Del Rio member Antonio Romero called the song a revelation of happiness, noting that it puts the world in agreement to dance and celebrate. Likewise, in 1996, Billboard's Jim Bestman posited that people want to have fun again. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to see Macarena at the top of the chart and realize that people want to be happy. Between painfully honest gangster rap, depressing alternative, and self-important pop ballads, I can see how something as bouncy as the Macarena could serve as a welcome alternative.
We were still coming out of the Kurt Cobain grunge era, you know, and I told my people, we're going to have glitter, we're going to have shiny things, we're going to bathe, and it's going to be pretty. And I'm not doing any slovenly look for anything. Everything is going to be as glam as we can get away with. And I think people liked that. They liked seeing a show, and they liked a song that was not particularly serious, and they liked having a good time, so they kept calling for it. And of course the dance helped, because everybody started doing the dumb dance.
I feel so grateful to have been a part of something that got so big. There's always going to be people that love and people that hate it. With anything you do, anything artistic, that's just part of, you know, being an artist. And all I want to say is that this song, when it came out, it brought so much joy to certain people, so much happiness. The dance, that you gotta take it as what it is. It's just a fun song, and you know, have fun with it. I danced it at my own wedding. So, and I think I sang it too. Anyway, it's one of those things where, like, I think it'll go down as, you know, one of the craziest song crazes that, you know, was ever, you know, here in the United States. I mean, it was everywhere, and I'm forever grateful to have been a part of it.
We went to even country bars. I remember being in somewhere in probably Kansas or Texas or Arizona or places where with sawdust on the floor, you know what I mean? Where they were just doing like dancing, line dancing 2 minutes before. And people who I would not even think would be into this ridiculousness that we were putting on stage, and they were loving life. Like, they were into it, they were joining in, screaming, chanting. The show is very interactive, and it was almost cathartic, I think, for some of them to have something that was fun, and for the sake of being fun, that wasn't particularly serious, and we were just having a grand old time, and everybody joined in, you know. And I loved that part of it. I really enjoyed that part of it.
Seeing as America was just a year away from the teen pop explosion of the late 1990s, maybe Macarena was just the peppy song to get us by in the meantime. When I first conceived of this documentary, I was afraid it might end up being little more than a compilation of all the Macarena's negative reviews. After all is said and done, however, I think that the Macarena did the world a service, though many people didn't realize it at the time. And if you think that after nearly 25 years, the Macarena is finally gone for good, I think you're dead wrong. I was surprised to find my very young niece and nephews were fans of it and enjoyed showing the family how they knew all the moves last Halloween. Maybe the next generation is just far removed enough to let this lively song live on, and let the lyrics continue to go over everyone's head.